Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Tom Shively. I'm the Director of Training here at Buyside, and today we're going to be going over your Buyside dashboard. So all of those great things that you can see on your dashboard and how much interactivity you have and where you can go inside of your Buyside product from your dashboard. We are going to get started in just a few minutes, but I do want to make sure that all of you can hear me. So I am going to launch a poll really quick. So on the screen, you should see a poll. Go ahead and let me know if you can hear me. That way I know that the mic is on and working. Okay, looks like we can. Wonderful. Okay, so like I said, we're going to give it just maybe another minute and then we'll get started. Now, before we do get started, I do want to let you know that we do have, I do have everybody on mute. So you do see that there is a questions box over on the right-hand side, and that is going to be where we can answer any of those questions that you have. I am joined today by Todd Williams, our customer success extraordinaire, who's going to be helping us out with our Q&A when we get there. But for the moment, everybody is on mute. So thank you all for logging in, and I see we can hear the microphone. There's a few people that can't. If you can't, maybe try adjusting that sound, see where it's coming out of. There is an audio tab as well, so maybe take a look at that. Okay. So let's give it just another minute. But like I said, today we're going to be going over the dashboard. So all of that great stuff that we have on our dashboard. So a quick agenda for what we're going to be looking at today is, where do you find your dashboard? How do you get there? As an agent at any one of our brokerages, how do you get there? So we'll talk about that a little bit. We're also going to take a tour of your dashboard. So what are the things on your dashboard? If I click on it, where does it go? If I need to enter something in, where can I do that? And really just where all of these things are and understanding of what those tools can do. So a lot of cool stuff we're going to go over today. And also, where can you find new leads? So if somebody does go into your home valuation site, they go and enter in a lead, you get a new seller lead in. There's somebody that I need to reach out to because it could be somebody that I'm going to work with and possibly sell their listing. How and where can I find those leads? So we'll take a look at that today. And if you have any questions about anything we've talked about either today or in the last few weeks, this is our third webinar, go ahead and let us know in the questions box and we'd be happy to answer any of those questions. I actually see one question that came in about a BMA. Perfect. Give us all those questions and we're going to show you, go over all of those questions. Okay, so just a brief intro, and I know you've seen these slides before, but where did Buyside come from? The easy answer is there's data everywhere. We have it there. We call it our tech stack, and that is things like your CRM, your mobile devices, your website, the saved searches and favorited listings on your website, web inquiries, all of these different places. If you have open houses, you have open house sign-ins. So we have data everywhere. And what we've done is we've taken all of that data and made it and put it into one simple place, which is Buyside. And actually, you're going to be able to see where all of that data comes in and what that represents right on your dashboard, which is what we're looking at today. So when we see your dashboard, you're actually going to be able to see a lot of that great information of what we're talking about when we say this is the solution, where those points come from, where those signals are going, what they are, and where they go. So we're going to take a look at that today on our dashboard. So really at a glance, you can see most of that information at one glance, which is really, really cool. Okay, so next we're going to jump into the product. However, I do want to let you know that we do have our Buyside Insiders group. And if you haven't already joined, this is such a cool place that you can just see some cool testimonials, some tips and tricks. We are putting daily posts up there, which is past webinars, new postings. We write blog articles. Todd has written a couple, which is great, and I'll even show you one of those in just a second. But you can also do that. So I would encourage you to go over to Facebook or just go to www.buysideinsiders.com and it'll take you right there. It'll log you right into Facebook and take you to our page. And of course, we do have our great support line, support@getbuyside.com, where you might even talk to Todd, who's going to be helping us out today. Perfect. Okay. So this is your dashboard, and there's a lot of cool information that we can see here. So the first thing that we see in the top left is our buyers and our listings. Now I have one of each here to show you what they look like. However, you're going to see a lot more than this. And that's because all of those a lot of them pull in automatically. So when we have those listings, when we have those buyers, if they come in through our agent website, if our listings come in because we're now associated with a listing on the MLS, you're going to see it show up here automatically. It's not, you're not going to have to enter that in. It's not going to be somewhere else. It's just going to be in there. And the great part about this is that since that happens automatically, if somebody has a buyer that's looking for your listing here, you're going to see those matches. So I can see I've got one in here. And again, this is a demo account. So you're going to see a lot more matches than just one, hopefully. And you can see up here the matches for my buyers. So that's what's going to help. And we say this as part of our mission statement is we want to make sure that you can close listings faster, not only win those new seller listings, which is great, draw those new leads and win those listings, but close those deals faster. And how do we do that? We have matches. These things pull in automatically, and you'll be able to use that information to close these listings faster. Now we'll go into this in a little bit more detail in, I think it's next week's webinar, which we will take a look at in just a sec. We've got about 4 more that are coming up. Uh-oh, just logged me out. But this is our dashboard. Oh, sorry about that all. Let's get back to our dashboard. There we go. Okay, so we have our buyers and our listing there. Sorry about that. All right, so now once we're here, what we can do is from your listing, I can see I've got a match. I want to see what that match is. So let me take a look. Let's actually just click on this and see what that match is. And this is my listing itself. It's of course going to give me those buyers that I have. So do I have buyers in these particular price ranges? So while I'm working with my listings, if I click on that listing, I'll actually be able to see all this great information. So how many buyers? Now, again, this is a stage account, so you're not going to be able to, there's going to be a lot of them in here. But let's say there's only maybe 5 or 10 potential buyers for this listing in my price range. You actually have a tool over here that's what if we increase or decrease. So you don't actually have to increase or decrease the price of the listing on the MLS to see those new buyers. We can actually see what those are. So let's say somebody overpriced their listing. Let's go ahead and decrease that by $20,000 and see how many potential new buyers there are. So we do that and boom, we can actually see, you know what, if there was only 10 buyers there and now there's 25, well, guess what? Those 10 buyers have already seen your home and they're not interested. So let's go ahead and see if we decrease it, now we've got 15 new potential buyers. So if we reduce our price, we're going to have all of these new buyers that we can now approach about buying your listing. So we can see that from here. And here is my listing, or here is my buyer down here. So I can see those buyers. This is a 4-star buyer, which is really cool. And we'll explain what those stars mean in a second, but you can actually match your listing with potential buyers. So I can even click on that and see this buyer. Who is the buyer profile? Now we do give buyer IDs because we don't want to give away names, right? Those buyers, they're yours. Those are sacred. We don't want anybody else to see that. So we do have a buyer ID. However, you can contact the agent directly. So if you do have a potential buyer that has a purchase by date, over here, has a purchase by date, is ready to buy, is pre-qualified and represented by an agent. So that's what all of these stars represent, and you'll see those pop up as new buyers come in. And those 4-star buyers, those are really important because that means we can pair it with a listing, and that's somebody that's ready to move right now. So we can take a look and close that listing that much faster. But you can contact that agent. So I see 4-star buyer here for my listing. Yes, I want to contact this person. Let's go ahead and type out a message. Hey, I have a potential listing for your buyer. Let's go ahead and see about pairing these people up. So now I've now got that message. Now, where does that message go? So what you see in the top right here is your little letter icon. That's how many messages have been sent you. See, I've got a big old 0 there, but you can see all of those messages. If somebody's messaging you about a listing, you'll get an email about that, but you'll also be able to see those under that little letter icon there. So not only will you get that email, you'll of course be able to see those messages here and be able to track them. Okay, so that is how we would pair up a listing. You can do the same with your buyer. So if you click on your buyer here, you'll see their buyer profile. Now again, this is my buyer, so it's going to show me the name. Now I also have the buyer ID, but this name, I'm the only person that's going to be able to see that. If somebody else stumbles across my buyer here, they're only going to see their buyer ID because that is sacred, like we said. But I came in here and I'm looking for listings that are pairing to my potential buyer. Right? So this person wants to buy a listing. Well, here's one that matches all of their criteria. So let's go ahead and take a look. We can click on that and see that listing, of course, so that and contact that listing agent so that now we can pair these people up. All right. So that's the first part of our dashboard, the left-hand side. And of course, if I do have a listing or a buyer, so let's say I meet somebody, they're ready to buy a listing. They say, you know what, let's do this transaction. I want to select add buyer in the top right over there. So I can do add buyer right from your dashboard, and you can add that buyer in. It's really that simple. And all you would do is go in and add their buyer profile and where do they want to live? What kind of listing are they looking for? What's their price range? Are they pre-qualified? All of that good stuff that somebody can use to pair them with a listing. And the same with add listings. Now, again, a lot of these pull over automatically. However, if I want to add a listing, I can do it here from my dashboard. Click on that and you'll see we've got quiet listings, which are our non-MLS listings, if that is available in your market. I know it's not in all markets, but if it is, if that's something you can do in your market, we can have that here. And then coming soon listings, so pre-listings, things that haven't hit the MLS yet. And this is such a helpful tool just because we can put those listings on, especially now. You know, the market has slowed down a bit, so people aren't putting those listings on the MLS, but we can put them in as a coming soon listing so that people can start to see that. We can see the potential buyers for that listing. Again, if that's available in your market, you can have that. And so we can start to see some of that interest. So if we're working with that person, we can check out that coming soon listing from here in Buyside. If I've got my buyers and I'm looking for listings, you know, a lot of them aren't hitting the MLS yet, but I can see the ones that are coming soon. Again, we'll go in a little bit more detail about that in another webinar. Okay, over on the right-hand side, you're gonna see notifications. And here is any of those notifications that you would get. So if somebody's emailed you about a listing, if somebody's emailed you about a buyer, if somebody has inquired, they've sent in a message that says, contact me, I'm interested. I did your HVS, I have my home valuations, I like what I'm seeing here, I want you to talk to me, I want to see all this cool information. We can come over here and see that under notifications. So you can click on that and see what that information is. And then at a glance here, I can see what for the last 30 days has come into my leads. So I've had 4 valuation attempts, 1 lead. Somebody has emailed in and said, you know, I want to contact you. I want to talk about a listing, possibly do a buyer market analysis. And then 1 person has done a monthly report, which means they've signed up for monthly reports, and now they're getting that monthly. We're staying in flow with that person because we're sending them that information about their listing every single month. Now, if I click on one of these, where it's going to take me is the leads section of my marketing suite. So we know that this is my leads here, and I can see all of those leads. So if I see on my dashboard that there is a new lead in there, somebody's done the home evaluation, I want to check out who has done that inquiry, I can see that down here. Now we can see this is, you know, leads don't last forever. We want to make sure that we touch that person quickly. So there we have this person, it's about to expire, and they've signed up. They've signed up for the monthly newsletter to get that, or not newsletter, excuse me, the monthly home valuation, and then the inquiry, they've asked, they want me to contact them, and they left their contact information, which is all right here. So I can see all of that. And again, all of that information starts with our dashboard. So we have our buyers, our listings, our notifications, and then our valuation attempts. So all of that cool information that I can see from the matches to my potential listings, the matches to my buyers, and all of that great stuff. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information I threw at you very quickly. I do see that we have a handful of questions here. Todd, we're gonna get started with our Q&A. So if you have any questions about what we talked about today, things that you can find on your dashboard, how do they get there, or anything else we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, please let us know those questions and we'd be happy to answer them now. All right, Todd, are you there?
I am. Great job, Tom.
There we go. Okay, thank you. So the first question is, how do I save a BMA report and recall it?
When you're generating the BMA report, at the end of the process, a PDF will automatically download to your computer. So I think, Tom, you're going to generate one here. So typically it's in your downloads folder. It looks like you're doing one now. So yes, it'll be in your downloads folder, and there'll also be a view report button where you'll be able to see it in your web browser, and you'll be able to share that as well.
Yes, very good. So that is where you can see that report. Now, the great part about a buyer market analysis is that the information is current. It's from right now. So if you do your CMA, right, we're doing our comparative market analysis. That's things that have happened in the past. There's listings that we've already sold. There are things that have closed in the past. So what we want is to show them the things that are happening now, and that's what's going to happen with your buyer market analysis. Is it shows them the buyers that are looking for listings right now. So if we have a BMA that we've done, we can save it to our desktop, we can email it to them, or we can send them the link and all that, which gets generated when we add this in here. But remember, that information doesn't last forever. So if it has been a month, or if it's been 6 weeks, or if it's been however long, we can do the same buyer market analysis just by entering that address in here. And it's going to go in and it's going to ask you the same questions, the AVM models, the listing details itself, and then what are the featured buyers and what is that the listing price, so that we can see how many we have, what is that difference that we want to show, and that's it. It's that quick. I mean, it really is 5 minutes, even on the first time to creating your buyer market analysis. So if it has been over a month, if it has been however long, it might help just to generate a new one, because you can send them the old one that we saved to our desktop or that we save into their client folder or wherever you put it. But it might also help just to have that current information. Say, you know what, I ran this morning and there are still 6 potential buyers. Sorry, that was a bit long-winded of an answer. Okay, thanks. Okay, so how do I pull addresses in a target area to get labels to mail to them? You know what, I'll actually take that one, Todd. That is a great question. So how do I get mailing labels for that area? Very good. So what we're gonna do is go under my leads here, and you see all of your leads down here, and here's the addresses. So we want some mailing labels. What you can do is download Avery labels. So boom, we can just select that right there. It's gonna download it as a CSV, which is a spreadsheet. So if you have Excel or whatever you use for spreadsheets, you click that button, it's gonna download those labels so that you can print those out and have cards. So if somebody does run a home valuation model, like these ones, for example, but they didn't provide their name, well, we know that they were still interested in what their home valuation is, right? We know that that's the case. And the owner name on file does come up here. So you'll be able to send those labels out. So if they are actually interested, we can use that as a lead. So the way that we would do that is download Avery labels. So you go to your marketing suite, you go to my leads, and then right here, download Avery labels. There it is. Okay. Okay, so I have a question. MoxieWorks is our CRM. That is a good question. So that is actually dependent on brokerage. So there are brokerages all over the country that use Buyside that also use MoxieWorks, but that is not the only CRM out there. So if you have a question about the integration between MoxieWorks and Buyside, we'd be happy to answer that. But go ahead and let us know, and we'll go ahead and reach out to you a little bit afterwards. How do we access our dashboard? That is not a silly question. Thank you so much for asking. So how do you how do you get to your dashboard? Now, oftentimes it'll be on your intranet. So how do you get here is typically you'll go into your intranet and it'll be under my tools. So for example, and just to have that question answered for if MoxieWorks is your CRM, there will be a Buyside link either in the top menu like you see up here or in the drop-down menu in the top right-hand corner. That's up here. So wherever your CRM is or in your intranet is where you're going to be able to find it. So a good person to ask would be your office manager because they'll know where those tools are located, but very good question. Is Buyside, Todd, maybe you can help me with this one. Is Buyside our BHHS resource?
It is provided in the resource center. That's correct. I'm not sure if that was the question that they were asking, but we are in the resource center.
Okay. All right, Todd. So buyer matching from my listings are only from the brokerage universe, not co-brokerage buyers, correct?
That's correct. Those buyers are 100% from your brokerage.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not sharing buyers and all that from brokerage to brokerage. So these are going to be the people that are either in your office or in your brokerage. Or excuse me, they are going to all be from your brokerage, but you may know a few of those agents and you'll be able to see who they are. But you're correct. It does not share brokerage to brokerage. This is my first webinar. I missed the other ones. Very good question. So I think the question is, where can we find those? We actually have a YouTube channel, so that where all of those are. So if we go into YouTube, you can search for Buyside Training, and we have a bunch of webinars and tips and tricks videos in here as well. So there are a couple that are a minute, and then these longer ones are the webinars. So the one going over the home valuation was the first one. It was about half an hour, and then your BMA, which was another about half an hour webinar. And you can take a look at all those. And we're going to continue posting how-to videos, tips and tricks videos that are maybe a minute long, and then past webinars. So you're going to be able to see all of those from Buyside Training on YouTube. Very good question. Okay, how does a buyer from another agency get into your system? So I think we just answered that. That might have been a question that we'd had before, but it doesn't. So the only buyers that you're going to see in your system come from your brokerage. That's it. We don't share that information with anybody else. Todd, where will add buyer load up to?
Where will it load up to? If you are adding a buyer manually, that's going to load into your account, and you see the My Buyers section on the top of the screen there. That's to see it's a bit more comprehensive than the dashboard screen. You could see the lead source, if emails are turned on for them, and detailed criteria.
All right. Yes, absolutely. So when you do add a buyer, it'll just load, it'll upload into your Buyside account, so you'll be able to see that. But remember, a lot of these will import over. So if you have listings or buyers that come from somewhere in the HANA network, or whatever your brokerage is, I see this one might be HANA, but wherever that would come from is where it will import in. So you'll be able to add in buyers yourself, and it will also import those in. Doing a BMA is similar to adding a coming soon listing. So if I read that correctly, is doing a BMA the same as doing a coming soon listing?
The BMA is a listing presentation tool. This is something you're bringing, as I said, to the listing presentation. The coming soon feature is for after you have a signed written agreement with that homeowner. And another key distinction is that once you enter that coming soon listing, you will now be able to communicate with those agents of those matching buyers.
Absolutely. And like you said, the BMA is a presentation tool. So that's something that we would do in conjunction with our CMA, something that we could run and show them, okay, here's what's happened in the past, but here's also what's going on right now. So you can have that PDF version of that, or that digital version, so that we can have our CMA presentation. You can have all your branding in there, your videos, let's say if you have a Matterport or something like that, you can put that into those CMA presentations, and then have our buyer market analysis as well, so that you can see your buyers, so that you can see what the demand is for your particular listing for that person. So it is a little bit different. That coming soon listing, that's going to be here in the system. So before it hits that MLS, before we're going to be able to see it out into the world, we can see what the demand for that in our brokerage is going to be. So put it in the coming soon listing. Maybe it goes live on the MLS in 2 weeks, because let's say, I don't know, maybe we're waiting for the photographer or something, or we're waiting for something, right? We'll put it in here so that we have the listing profile, and let's say we just have it without the image in here, like we say down here, the listing doesn't have the image, but I can still see if there's potential matches and possibly reach out to those people. So it's possible that we could even have interest before this thing hits the MLS. And again, I know there are some markets where that's a hard no-no, but this will only apply if it is okay in your market. Okay, so what is the elevator speech for using Buyside to sign buyers like a seller? Okay.
That would be especially if your brokerage has coming soon listings and you're trying to convince that buyer client to go with you. You can tell them that you have access to listings before they hit the MLS, and that differentiates you from other brokerages for sure.
Absolutely, that's one of them, of course. But and one of the things that you can show them, especially with our home valuation site, what they're seeing is the interest in their listing. So they put their address in and they see how many people are out there currently that are searching on the internet for their listing. So they're going to be able to see what the approximate market value is, but also how many people are looking for that listing. And then when they contact you, the elevator speech that we give them, especially when we use that BMA tool, is we've got, let's say there are 6 featured buyers. Those are people that are qualified, that are looking for a listing, looking to buy right now, that are represented by an agent. And the point is that not necessarily you know who those people are, but there are 6 people. If they go to another agent, they're not going to know those other people. They're not going to know that there are people that are looking for their listing right this second. You can say, I've got 6 people. If you sign on that dotted line, I can have 6 people here this week because I know that there are people looking for your listing. That's really the elevator speech, is that I can close your listing that much faster and we can get a good price for it because we know who those buyers are. Very good question. How do I search a neighborhood and capture addresses from that search to mail to those homeowners?
That sounds like something that would be done pre-Buyside if you're talking about, more or less digital door knocking and sending the BMA. We do have a find listings feature, but these are going to be all active listings already that are represented by agents.
Right, and I think the way what you're asking is how are we going to get addresses for a particular area in farming for farming those leads? And the answer is there's a couple of tools that you can use in here. For example, your home valuation site. A way to do that would be to have those listings, post those on social media, or have an email list. So if you're getting names, if you're going to events, if you're going to barbecues, if you're going to, functions and all that, and you're getting to know that area, they're getting to know you. You're becoming that trusted advisor in that area. We'll give them that home valuation site so they can see what those are. And that's how those leads would come in. So you can put that in your email signature. You can put it on social media. And again, you can use that as a link. So if you just click on that listing there, this URL up top, that's going to be that link. So if you do have that mailing list, that email list where we're meeting people, you can then put them in there and then email this to them so that they can find out what their home is worth. So there's a few ways that you can get those addresses and search in that area. And what's great about this is when you actually run this, and I think I have one right here, you can see this, the buyer heat map in here. So even if you do run that home valuation, if you're just looking in a particular area, just pick an address and take a look, and you can see where the hottest markets are right now. You can see where the most demand is in these particular areas. So take a look at that buyer heat map and it'll help you define where that farm could be. And there are a couple of ways that you can use that to farm those addresses and get that interest. But the idea isn't that we're just cold mailing people. It's that we are getting them to get a little bit of interest and then they are running that report themselves. So we're giving them that information. And on the top of this page is your contact information. So they can reach out to you, making it that lead that much warmer when it actually does come to us. Is there a library of Buyside training? Great question. There is 2. So we just showed you the YouTube page that you can go to. It's called Buyside Training. Go ahead and take a look for that. We also have a help center. So if you are inside Buyside, you'll be able to see up here in the top right-hand corner, there's your agent photo, and you can go to help. And we have our help center in here, and it has a bunch of tips and tricks and FAQ and anything that if you'd want to do here in Buyside, like run your HVS, you can find that article in here. Will the system send out push notifications when we get a match or a message? So if there is a match to your listing, or if somebody mails in, or let's say they do an HVS or an agent messages you, Todd, how do we get that message?
Inside your app, you actually have the notification settings inside your account. Those need to be turned on or off depending on which messages you're hoping to get. Yeah, we could take a look at that. And on the left menu, notification settings. There we go. So we see about the halfway point down, we see the emails from other users. This user has it turned on. So that means when a listing agent messages you and says they have a buyer that matches your listing, that means you're going to get those emails. And same thing with valuation attempts. When someone checks the value of their home, this current user has the emails turned off. That may be something that they would want to turn on. And then we have the coming soon listing notifications as well. So when a coming soon listing is added that matches your buyer, you have a few different options there for how you want to be notified, or if you don't want to be notified at all. And then always be sure to hit update at the end. When you have the features you want, make sure you hit update.
I love that. Yeah, that's another one of those things. If you're updating something on your agent website, make sure you hit the publish button when you make those changes. I love that. Okay. Okay, I see another question. Why use Buyside? What are the biggest advantages? Great question. So I think we briefly touched on that, which is you're going to be able to generate those seller leads. So when you're sending out our home valuation site, or we're talking with a potential client, we're able to show them those buyers. So we can get those seller leads using our home valuation site, get those notifications in. We can use our buyer market analysis to tell them and win those listings. And then of course, use the system itself to close those deals that much faster. So while we're working on transactions and closing them faster so that we can have more of those listings per year. So we get those leads, we're able to work those leads and close them that much quicker. So very good question. When is an example when you would export contacts to Avery labels if they're already receiving the Buyside report? This assumes not using as a CRM. I think I can take that one. If I know what you're asking here is why would I download those Avery labels, which is a very good question. So let's actually go back to our marketing suite here. And I just want to show you my leads here. So let's go to my leads. And you're right in the sense that if somebody does select that contact me button, so we're here on our home valuation site, let's say they do the monthly report, you can see they generate that on top. They come down here, enter their name, email, phone number, and we select contact. So I get that contact information, and that's where these are going to light up. So the monthly report and the inquiry. Now, why would you use Avery labels? Well, take a look at these ones up here. These are people that ran the home valuation, but they didn't select contact me. They didn't do the monthly report, but I still have the owner's name and the address. So that is a potential lead. That's somebody that might be looking to buy or sell in the future, maybe a year down the road, 6 months down the road, however long. But now I have that as a contact. So it's somebody that's interested in real estate because they wanted to know what their home was. So I can still download that as Avery labels and have a mailer go to them of whatever your marketing information is. So we're using that as a way to farm new leads as well. So we can get leads that are extremely warm leads that if somebody does sign up for the monthly report or sends in the inquiry. But I also have other ways of contacting those folks. So the people that looking and are interested in real estate. So that's an example of when you would use that as the Avery leads. Where does Buyside pull our buyers from?
We pull the buyer data and buyers from the various CRMs that you guys use, whether Showing Time or Space CO, or even if your bigger CRM itself, Moxie or any of those. I don't know if you have anything to add there, Tom.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we're going to pull all of that information from different sources. So your listings and your buyers and all that, those are going to come from, your CRMs, from Real Scout, from I see you use the Moxie one. Yes, that is exactly where it would come from. So your listings and buyers are going to come from there, and we'll be able to see all of those in the system here at Buyside. So let me ask you this, Todd. So is it better to load buyers from elsewhere, meaning those buyers will come in from your CRM, versus adding it into Buyside manually?
Yeah, we always encourage to add it in manually and add as much information as you can. This makes it the strongest lead possible and the strongest for you to connect with a matching listing. At times when we do pull in from various CRMs, the information could be incomplete rather. So we always recommend that you add them manually, and then if you did not add them manually and it's someone you are actively working with, we 100% recommend that you go in there and edit profile and fill out as much as you can about their wants and needs.
Absolutely. And just to know, I've worked with a lot of CRMs before, and Todd's exactly right, is that, there is information in here about buyers, but it's usually just who that buyer is, and then you can add in information as notes and things like that. But to have that complete buyer profile, to have this buyer in here, you can add in school districts. You can add in the specific cities or zip codes that they're interested in. What is the exact listing they're looking for? The number of bedrooms, the bathrooms, the floors. What's the property type? Are they looking for turnkey or a fixer-upper or any of that great stuff? So it gets really granular in here so that you can find the exact listings that they're looking for. So if it's, for example, they know they want a pool, they know they want something turnkey, and they have a specific price in mind, when we add that into our CRM, usually those would be as notes versus it being an actual field that you can fill out. So we would suggest coming in here and adding buyers in manually, only because you can get so specific here and find the exact listing that they're looking for that we all know is out there here in Buyside. So that is such a good question. Okay, can you explain how to search a buyer to listings that don't have a match buyer? How can I search a buyer to listings that don't have a match buyer? So I think it's how do we match those buyers? So the way that we could do that is we have our buyer profile here, and we can see I've got one match there. But if I click on that, if I click on the buyer, it'll show you the whole buyer profile. Or you could even go to My Buyers and click on it that way. But it's also going to show you the listings over here on the left-hand side that fit that constraint, that are what your person is looking for. So it's within the price range, the right beds and bathrooms in the areas that you've specified. So you can see those listings in here. So you'll see them in the map, you'll see them listed over here. And then the listings themselves, I've only got one in here, but you can contact the agent over here on the right-hand side. So I can see this is the listing. I can go ahead and contact that agent. Now this happens to be my listing, so I wouldn't have to. But that's how you would do it, is you just click on the buyer and you can see those listings over there on the left-hand side. Do we offer digital marketing materials to use on social media and website platforms? Very good question. And the answer is yes, it's actually already in here. So what we'll see is if you go to your marketing suite, and we're here on our home valuation site, you'll see the icon on the bottom that says share on social media. So if you click on that, all of your social medias are going to be in there. They're already here. So I can see if I want to share on Facebook, which most of us use Facebook or social media in our business, or LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever you use, even if you want to send an email, we can just click on it. And you know what? It's actually going to log in to your Facebook. You can see it just pulled up mine, Tom Shively. There we are. And it's going to have this picture along with the link as well. So I can now add in my own caption that says, see what your home is worth. And it has this really cool image and all that. And so they can click on that and then it'll go to there. So we don't necessarily have like a folder of emails or any of that, but it'll do it automatically. So you can actually come in here and just click on it and it'll work. So you can send that out to social media really, really simply. Let's go ahead and leave that. Okay. Todd, I think this is going to be a question for you. I have a listing that's $335,000. Why are all the buyer matches looking around $377,000 and some in $800,000?
Buyers going to have a range of what they're looking for. So those buyers are more than likely your price is falling within that range. If you find that they're not, that's definitely something we'd appreciate if you report that to support, and the email address is support@getbuyside.com, and I'll look into it right away. But as you can see, if we click on that buyer, we would see the range. So we see that there's quite a range for this buyer.
Sorry, I just wanted there to be buyers in there, so I made it a huge range. You're probably not going to have a $1 million range like I do here. However, yeah, typically when you fill out the buyer profile, there will be a range, so you'll be able to see that. And also when you go back to your listing here, you'll see how many buyers are within those ranges. So it is going to show you these different things as well. It's going to have the agent verified buyers, and then of course the non-verified buyers over on the right-hand side. So we do have those. So very good question. We'll actually take your name down that we have here, and we'll go ahead and reach out after the webinar just to make sure what's going on. But we'll go ahead and reach out as well. Okay, so the BMA cannot reach out to agents. Do coming soon actually reach out to a pre-sell a listing? So the BMA, right. So the BMA is a report that you would run and we would present to a potential client. We'd use that in our listing presentation. We'd use it for somebody that we'd like to sign with us, for somebody if we're doing their presentation. We want to show them we have buyers for their listings. You can run that BMA for that way. The coming soon listings, let's actually go back to our dashboard. The coming soon listings, like we see down here, show up in Buyside. So if somebody has a potential buyer, like I have a buyer up here, it'll show up in Buyside, so you can actually see those listings before it hits the MLS. Again, if that's available in your market. However, that is where we would use this, is that coming soon listing. So let's say it's going to hit the MLS in 2 weeks. I can put that in here 2 weeks early, and now anybody that's looking at their Buyside dashboard is going to see that match pop up, and then they can reach out to you to say, hey, I've got a buyer for your listing. I have it. Quick, let's take a look before it hits the MLS. So that's where that would go, is it would go into your Buyside system. So now we can use this to close that listing that much faster. Okay. So Todd, the prospective buyers, they're coming just from the broker system, not necessarily places like Zillow or other internet sites.
That would vary by who your brokerage is. Some brokerages will pull from Zillow, will pull from Realtor.com, save searches, save properties, but that would depend on your brokerage. And again, if you're curious, I'd suggest reaching out to support@buyside.com, and we'll get you a concise answer on that.
I love it. Yes. And, we have seen buyers come from really a lot of places. So places like your agent website. So if somebody fills out an account there and they are saving searches or they're favoriting listings, we'll be able to see that as a buyer because they're looking at listings. They're looking for listings. So you'll see those import in. But yeah, they do come from a lot of places. All right, so I've got about 5 minutes left for questions. Let's grab a few of these. Can the link to the landing page be added to an e-newsletter? So yes, absolutely. So that is a great use for this. So using this URL here, so this is our home valuation site. And again, this is just the Buyside Realty version. So the actual image that's going to be back here for your brokerage is going to look good. I see rotating images all the time of great looking listings. So it's going to look a little bit better than this. But yes, that is a great usage of this URL here is, yeah, put that in your newsletter so that people can click on it and see the home value, see their home valuation, or if you want to put it on social, or if you want to put it in just an email blast because we're farming for leads. Yeah, that can go anywhere. What is the buyer population heat map representing? So that is representing, yes, it's interest in that area. So it's clicks, it's where are people searching for listings, where are transactions being closed. So all of that information from different internet sites, from your agent website, that is where that's going to be. And actually, if we continue scrolling down, so we see our buyer heat map here. Yeah, a lot of these come from clicks and stuff like that of where the interest is. But you can actually see down here, you're going to have more than one, obviously, but this is going to be who is searching in your in your brokerage. So usually this is in the millions. So it's like, something like 14 to 40 million people are searching in your brokerage. Then of course the activities in that school district, the activities within that home's price range, and then the school district, the price range in that area, and for that bedroom. So we can see, I did one of these presentations yesterday that said 29,000 people were searching for a 4-bedroom in your school district within your price range. So we can see a lot of that interest. Yes, that does come from internet, but what we're showing here, the point of this information is that we want to price the listing right the first time, is we're planting that seed, especially up here in our buyer heat map. Where is that interest coming from? So if it's in a highly active area, sure, we can be a little bit more aggressive. But if it's in one of these yellow areas, that still helps us, right? We can say, you know what, there isn't a ton of interest there. We still want to price your listing right. We don't want it to sit on the MLS. We don't want to get too little for it. So let's use that expertise that the agent has in order to tell that story using this information. And that's not us as an agent saying it. They could say, hey, Jerk, what do you mean there's no interest in this area? I'm not saying that. This is the market. This is the information that we're getting from the market. So we can say, you know what, there isn't a ton of interest in that area, or there is, and we'll use that to help tell our story. Okay, Todd, how do we avoid multiple emails going to the same agent when we're matching listings?
That's something we're looking into. I know that sometimes that there can be an agent representing buyers that are matching your listing, multiple buyers. At this point, they will be getting multiple emails if you are checking each buyer off the communication box, but that is something we're looking into. So thank you. That's a great question.
Yes. Okay, so this will be the last question because I know we've taken up a lot of time here. Most buyer profiles I've seen are far and unrealistically broad. So yes, that's another question of if it imports in versus adding it in manually. So that is one of the reasons that we'd like to add those buyers in manually, because we can be really specific about that. So we can be really specific about our buyer, about what they're looking for, where those listings are. Okay, so just some parting thoughts here is we've been taking a look at the industry, and yes, it has slowed down. However, we have seen that it hasn't stopped. And a lot of economists are predicting that the real estate economy, or the economy in general, is going to bounce back just as fast as it went down. So one of the things that we've heard around the industry is that one of the worst things we can do as an agent right now is not be marketing. And this is one of those tools that is provided to you by your brokerage. Most of the brokerage is for free. So it is a great way for us to use that as marketing, send it out, see who's running home valuations on their home, get those interests, add those coming soon listings if somebody is ready to put their listing on the market, but they want to wait until all of this is over. That is a great way to interact with this. So that is my parting thought. Thank you all for being here. We do have a number of other webinars. Please go in and sign up for those. They are going for the next 4 weeks in a row, and we will see you next time.